Welcome back to day 8 of our 16-day campaign to end domestic abuse. Now, if you're just joining us, first of all, how dare you? There's a whole queue of videos you need to watch, but more importantly, we're glad you're here because today we're tackling a deeply disturbing issue: tech-enabled abuse. You see, in our glorious digital age, technology does a lot of wonderful things. It connects us, informs us, entertains us. And of course, inevitably, it provides horrifying new avenues for abusers to control and manipulate their victims. Because if there's one thing history has taught us, it's that if there's a new way to be awful, someone, somewhere will find it. So today we're diving headfirst into this digital cesspool to understand how abusers weaponize technology. We'll examine the devastating impact this has on survivors, especially women, who are disproportionately affected. And most importantly, we'll explore what we can do to fight back against this insidious form of abuse. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Let's start with something that sounds like it's straight out of a dystopian thriller, but is sadly all too real: GPS tracking and spyware. We're talking about abusers using readily available apps and devices to monitor their partner's every move. Imagine for a moment that your phone, a device that's supposed to connect you to the world, becomes your own personal prison, constantly reporting your location to your abuser. It's not just about knowing where you are, it's about controlling where you can and cannot go. Want to visit a friend? Nope. Thinking about seeking help at a shelter? Think again. Abusers use this technology to anticipate and control their victims' actions, effectively trapping them in a cage of their own data. And here's the truly insidious part. These apps can be disguised as something innocuous, like a battery saver or a game, so victims may be completely unaware that they're being tracked, living under a suffocating blanket of surveillance. This constant fear, this feeling of being watched, can have a devastating impact on a person's mental and emotional well-being. But it's not just dedicated spyware. Abusers can exploit seemingly harmless features on your phone. Ever shared your Apple ID with a partner? Bad idea. It can give them access to your location, messages, even control over what apps you can and can't use. It's digital domination disguised as convenience. Take, for example, Sarah, who discovered her partner had installed spyware on her phone, tracking her every move and isolating her from friends and family. Or consider Maria, who found out her abuser was using a seemingly harmless app to monitor her location, making her feel unsafe even in her own home. These real-life examples highlight the severe impact of GPS tracking and spyware on women's safety and privacy. Now let's talk about social media, shall we? That wonderful online world where we share pictures of our lunch and argue with strangers about politics. It's also, unfortunately, become a fertile breeding ground for tech-enabled abuse, especially against women. Abusers exploit these platforms to harass, humiliate, and control their victims in terrifyingly public ways. Imagine this. You're trying to rebuild your life, escape an abusive relationship, and suddenly your ex is posting intimate photos of you without your consent. Or they're spreading lies about you to your friends and family, turning your social circle against you. It's a level of public humiliation and manipulation that's hard to fathom. And the threats? Oh, the threats. We're not just talking about vaguely menacing messages here. Abusers can use social media to track your location, find out where you are in real time, and send threats that feel terrifyingly real. It's a constant barrage of fear and intimidation, all designed to keep the victim isolated and under their control. The worst part, social media platforms with their algorithms designed to maximize engagement, read outrage, often amplify this abuse. A hateful post, a vicious lie can go viral in minutes, causing irreparable damage to the victim's reputation and mental health. According to a 2020 study, 38% of women have experienced online harassment. High-profile cases like that of journalist Maria Racer highlight the severe impact of coordinated online attacks. These attacks are not just random. They are often systematic and targeted, aiming to silence and intimidate women. Despite reporting mechanisms, many platforms fail to take adequate action, leaving victims feeling helpless and vulnerable. But there is hope. Support groups and advocacy organizations are working tirelessly to combat this issue and provide resources for those affected. Together, we can create a safer online environment where everyone, especially women, can feel secure and respected. Chapter 3: Image-Based Abuse. the cruelest violation. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say the deeply disturbing photo someone decided to share without consent. Image-based abuse, often called revenge porn, is exactly what it sounds like. A weaponized form of emotional and sexual abuse. It's about power and control, plain and simple. Imagine this. You're in a relationship, you trust your partner, and you share intimate photos or videos with them. Then the relationship ends and suddenly those images are plastered all over the internet without your consent. It's a betrayal that cuts deep, leaving victims feeling violated, exposed, and deeply ashamed. And let's be clear, this is not about sexy photos being leaked. It's about the non-consensual distribution of private images, often used as a tool to humiliate, silence, and control. It's a form of digital assault that can have devastating and long-lasting consequences for the victim's life. The emotional toll is immense. Victims often experience anxiety, depression, PTSD, even suicidal thoughts. And the damage goes beyond the emotional. It can affect their careers, their relationships, their entire lives. Imagine trying to explain to a future employer why your most intimate moments are splashed across the internet. It's a nightmare scenario, and it's happening with alarming frequency. Survivors have shared their stories, revealing the deep scars left by this abuse. Their courage in speaking out is a testament to their strength and resilience. Together, we can support these survivors and work towards a world where such violations are no longer tolerated. Chapter 4. Cyberstalking, the terror that never ends. And finally, we come to cyberstalking, the digital equivalent of that creepy guy in a movie who just won't take a hint. This isn't just your garden variety online trolling. This is persistent, targeted harassment that can last for years, leaving victims living in a constant state of fear and anxiety. We're talking about relentless monitoring of social media accounts, hacking into emails, tracking every digital move. Imagine constantly looking over your shoulder in the real world, except in this case, the stalker can be anywhere, anytime, lurking in the shadows of the internet. Cyberstalkers are masters of manipulation. They use technology to gather information about their victims, to track their every move, to anticipate their actions. They might create fake social media profiles to befriend their victims, or use GPS tracking to know their whereabouts at all times. It's a chilling level of control and intrusion. The impact on victims can be utterly devastating. Imagine constantly feeling like you're being watched, judged, and threatened. It can lead to paranoia, insomnia, anxiety, and severe emotional distress. Many victims are forced to change their phone numbers, email addresses, even relocate to escape the relentless harassment. Experts emphasize that the trauma inflicted by cyberstalking can be profound, often requiring long-term psychological support. They highlight the need for stronger legal protections and more resources to help victims rebuild their lives. Breaking the cycle, our collective responsibility. Look, the reality is this. Technology has empowered abusers in ways we're only beginning to understand. But here's the good news. We have the power to fight back. We can't let abusers weaponize the tools that were meant to connect us. We need to support organizations fighting to make the digital world safer for everyone, especially women. We need to educate ourselves and others about the insidious forms that tech-enabled abuse can take. And most importantly, we need to believe survivors and offer them unwavering support. Join us tomorrow as we continue this conversation and explore practical steps we can all take to combat tech-enabled abuse against women and create a safer, more supportive world for survivors.